It is Thursday, and that means we are back in Nutrition Educator Lynn Matava's kitchen, and today she's showing us how to make homemade applesauce.
Good morning, Delmarva. One of the questions I get most from parents is how they can encourage their kids to try new foods. And my favorite answer is fresh fall apples. This time of year, they have so much flavor. They are just a little more crisp. They have a great aroma. And one of the most fun things that you can do with your kids, I do it in classrooms all the time, not during COVID, but pre-COVID, and it's always a very big hit, is we get 3 different varieties of Maryland or locally grown apples. Pennsylvania is okay too, they're really close. And most of them grow in Western Maryland or, just over the border in PA. They need a little bit more a colder climate, though we do have some farms down here on the Eastern Shore. But get 3 different varieties of apples and then just slice them, put one of each slice on a plate, and everybody kind of take it, you smell each one, you see what the differences are to each one. You talk about the aroma, you talk about the taste, you talk about the differences between the two, and then just encourage your kids to use some descriptive words. They're learning them in school anyway. They love doing this, and they can talk about, how tart it is, how sweet it is, how crispy it is. See what they can come up with. Good and bad are not descriptive words. So, but a great way to encourage them to try new foods. And the next time you ask them to try something, they may be a little more willing. So just a great little tip. Because we have all these apples, and I had some that were starting to get a little bit on the wrinkly side, I thought a great thing to do would just show how to make a quick homemade applesauce, because it's just a fun way to showcase a flavor of fall and have a nice little treat. So what I've done here, turn my little oven down, it's getting hotter than I expected. I cut up some apples already and peeled them, and I have them soaking in a little bit of water with honey. You don't need to do this prior to making them, but the reason I did it was to keep them from turning brown. It's a great tip that you can use if you want to soak some apples before putting them in your child's lunch so they don't have brown apples when they get to school. A little bit more appealing for them to eat. You could also put a little bit of lemon juice in the water. I just chose honey because it's a little sweeter. And then I am putting these, I've got about 7 apples here. And you can tell my pan got hot while it was warming up. You can hear it sizzling. And I'm throwing them in here. Now, I am going to need to add about a half a cup of water. And I'm just going to use this water here that they were soaking in and throw that in there. And the next thing that we do is, this is an optional ingredient, but you could add in a 1/4 cup of whatever sugar you have. Now I have just some kind of sugar in the raw here. It's got a nice kind of rich molassesy flavor. You could use white sugar. You could use a little bit of honey. You could use a little bit of brown sugar or maple syrup. And you really don't need to use any at all. I have a large amount of Granny Smith apples in here, and they are a lot more tart. So I'm adding all of my 1/4 cup in. But typically what I would do is kind of do it to taste. It's really nice if you combine different kinds of apples, because you do get different types of textures and flavors, and kind of a little tart and sweet, just like a pie. And then as they're cooking, and these are not ready yet because I just put them in, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, but you could take one of these potato mashers and just kind of mash them up a little bit. You could also use the back of a spoon or a giant fork. No real rules here. You just, you might like it chunkier. Some people might like it a little smooth, but this is just going to simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. And when it's all done, you put in a little bit of cinnamon. I'd say up to a teaspoon at most. I think less is more, so I'm just sprinkling a little teeny bit, because the idea is I don't want to taste the cinnamon. I want to taste these delicious fall apples. And really that's what allows them to shine, is not over seasoning them. But again, so that's all you have to do. You just give a little bit of a stir and smash up as it's cooking. And in 15 to 20 minutes, you have a healthy and delicious fall snack.